Hello. In this video, we will solve more direct and inverse variations in other forms. When you are given an equation, you can solve for y to decide whether or not it is inverse, direct, or neither. Okay, let's look at problems. Tell whether x and y show direct variation, inverse variation, or neither. Then explain your reasoning. Okay, so we are given 2y equals x. So first of all, solve for y. Okay, so we solve for y. To get y by itself, we notice this is 2 times y, so the inverse of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. We divide both sides by 2 to get rid of x, to get rid of 2. So that's y equals x over 2. Well, let's look at what we have. If we look at this, at least the x is not in the denominator. For it to be inverse, the x has to be in the denominator. But then it looks a bit confusing then. Is it direct? Well, is there a way we can rewrite this equation to see, well, we can actually, because dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 2. So instead of dividing x by 2, we can multiply x by 1/2. So these two equations are the same. They are exact same thing, because here we divided x by 2, here we multiply x by 1/2, which is reciprocal of 2. So rewriting it this way helps us see that this is direct variation. This is direct, and k is 1/2. We see that. Okay, so sometimes it's helpful to rewrite the equation. All right, next, negative 3xy equals 6. Again, our goal is first of all to get y by itself. So there are negative 3 is multiplying x and y. So we can get rid of them one at a time. We need to get rid of negative 3 and x. We can do them one at a time. We can also do them all at once. So just to avoid confusion, let's do them one at a time. So negative 3xy divided by negative 3. So we divide both sides by negative 3. So that will cross out 1, 1. So we have xy equals negative 2, because 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. All right, even looking at this, the two variables, we multiply the two variables together, we get a constant. So that is also showing us right away that this will be inverse. But let's write it to, let's solve for y anyway. So, and then if we solve for y, we're going to divide both sides by x. So that makes it look like x is in the denominator now. And our constant is going to be negative 2. Okay, that's the equation on the constant. Next, y minus x equals 0. Again, solve for y, so we can add x to both sides, add x to both sides. So y equals 0 plus x is x. Okay, what is it? Well, again, this might be a bit confusing, but because we don't see constant here, and the x is not in the denominator, so what is it? I hope you don't think it is in either, but you know every variable has 1 in front of it, so there is actually 1x. So this is 1x. So this is direct. It is direct, and your k is 1, because 1 is multiplying x. All right, moving on. X equals y plus 9. Again, solve for y by subtracting 9 from both sides. Subtract 9 from both sides. So we have x minus 9 equals y, because this part becomes 0. So, or you can say y equals x minus 9. Either way, just write them. But look at what we have. Is that direct, inverse, or neither? Well, it's not inverse because the x is not in the denominator. Is it direct? No, because negative 9 is being subtracted from x. For it to be direct, it has to be multiplied. It has to be multiplied, so it is neither. It is neither. Okay, moving on. Here we have y over x equals 2 over y over 3 equals 2 over x. If you like, any way you can solve this equation for y, since y is divided by 3, we can multiply both sides by 3, or we can also cross multiply. Since there are two fractions, we can cross multiply them. So he gave us 3 times 2 equals y times x. So this is 6 equals y times x. Again, we have two variables multiplied, the two quantities multiplied to give a constant. It's a clue that this is going to be inverse. But also, if we solve for y here, we're going to divide both sides by x to solve for y. So it is inverse, and our constant is 6. Okay. The variable y varies directly with x. Write an equation that relates x and y when x equals 3 and y equals 12. Okay, they gave us y and x this time, so we can write it as ordered pair if you want, x, y. So we know when x is 3, y is 12. Okay, so write the order pair, and they told us that they vary directly, so it makes it easier. So when it varies directly, we know that the constant is y divided by x. So find the constant first. So when y is 12, x is 3. So the constant is going to be 4. So now we use this constant to write our equation. So equation is So equation is y equals kx. Okay, so we substitute the k, which we already found, to be 4, and then 4 times x, and then we keep our y. That's the equation. All right, last one. The variable y and x varies inversely. Okay, again, they told us that they vary inversely. So again, we can write ordered pair of x and y. When x is 5, y is 6. Okay, since they vary inversely, k is going to be, you multiply y and x to get k. So multiply them. 5 times 6, or 6 times 5, doesn't matter. And that gives us 30. Since k is 30, we write our equation since it inversely related. So remember the equation, don't mix them up. So for it to be inversely, it's going to be k divided by x. So y equals, we have k already, which is right there. So we replace it. So it's 30 divided by x. And that's the equation. All done.